The distress beacon pierced the starlit void, a desperate pulse of light and sound that no ship could ignore. Nathan Iverson jolted awake in his one-man exploration vessel as the emergency alert system blared through the cramped cabin. His mission to survey the outer reaches of the Helios system had been uneventful for weeks until now. Warning: emergency distress signal detected. Origin: medical transport vessel designation Mercy Flight, coordinates locked, announced the ship's AI in its monotone voice. Nathan rubbed his eyes and pulled himself upright. How far? Approximately 20 minutes at maximum thrust. Shall I alter course? Yes, Nathan replied, already pulling on his flight suit. Any details on the nature of their emergency? Negative. Signal contains only basic identification and priority code. It is marked as critical. As his ship accelerated toward the coordinates, Nathan prepared himself for the unknown. Working alone at the edge of colonized space meant being ready for anything. 3 years as a planetary surveyor had taught him self-reliance, but his emergency medical training might finally be needed for more than his own occasional injuries. The medical transport came into view as a dark silhouette against the distant sun. It was a mid-sized vessel with the universal medical insignia painted across its hull, a design recognized across species and star systems. No visible hull damage, Nathan noted as his ship performed a scanner sweep. Life support functioning. 4 life signs detected non-human biosignatures. Probably Xelosians based on the ship's registry. Nathan carefully aligned his vessel with the medical transport's docking port. The airlock engaged with a satisfying hiss and clunk. He grabbed his emergency kit and oxygen mask, a precaution when entering unknown environments. The airlock cycled open to reveal a tall, slender figure waiting for him. The Xelosian stood nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the emergency lights. Its 4 arms were poised in what Nathan recognized as a gesture of urgent request. "Human visitor, your assistance is greatly appreciated," the Xelosian said, its translator device converting its native clicks and whistles into standard English. "I am Telox, Chief Medical Officer of this vessel. We have a medical emergency beyond our expertise." Nathan nodded. "Nathan Iverson, planetary surveyor, I picked up your distress call. What's the situation?" "Please follow me quickly," Telox said, already moving down the corridor with long, graceful strides. "We have a human patient suffering from a condition unfamiliar to our medical team." This was unexpected. Nathan had assumed the emergency involved one of the Xelosian crew members. "A human out here?" he asked, quickening his pace to keep up. "Yes, we found her adrift in a damaged escape pod 3 days ago. She is from the research vessel Horizon's Edge, which experienced a catastrophic system failure. She was the sole survivor we recovered." They turned a corner and entered what was clearly the ship's medical bay. 2 more Xelosians hovered around a biobed where a human woman lay. Her skin was an angry red across her face, arms, and shoulders, a stark contrast to the white medical gown she wore. One of the Xelosians approached, its 4 hands holding various medical instruments. The name badge identified her as Nalara, medical nurse. Her large, multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly in what Nathan recognized as Xelosian distress. "The human's condition has worsened," Nalara said. "The damaged skin is spreading. Our database has limited information on human physiology, but all indicators suggest severe radiation exposure causing tissue death. Protocol indicates amputation of affected areas is necessary to prevent spread." Nathan moved closer and immediately recognized the condition. The woman's skin wasn't showing signs of radiation burns or necrosis. It was a severe sunburn. "Hold on," he said, raising his hand to stop Nalara, who was preparing what looked like a surgical laser. "That's not radiation damage, it's just sunburn." The 3 Xelosians exchanged looks of confusion. Telox stepped forward. "Sun, burn." Telox's translator seemed to struggle with the concept. "Damage from a star's radiation, then our diagnosis of radiation exposure is correct." "No, not exactly," Nathan said, approaching the biobed. "It's a common human reaction to excessive ultraviolet exposure." The skin becomes damaged, yes, but it's superficial. The redness, pain, and heat are just the body's inflammatory response. It heals on its own in a few days. Nalara made a series of clicking sounds that her translator didn't catch. She seemed agitated. But the affected tissue is clearly damaged, she insisted. The protocol for damaged tissue that continues to deteriorate is removal. We were preparing to amputate the affected areas to save the patient's life. Nathan fought to keep his expression neutral as he realized what they had been planning. No, absolutely not. Human skin doesn't need amputation for Sunburn. That would kill her. The woman on the bed stirred and opened her eyes. She looked disoriented but became alert when she saw Nathan. "Another human?" she asked weakly. "Thank God, they keep talking about cutting something off." "I'm Nathan Iverson. You're safe now," he assured her. "What's your name?" "Grace Hoffman. I was the botanist on the horizon's edge." Her voice was hoarse. "Our life support failed. I barely made it to an escape pod when the radiation shields went down. I was exposed to the system's star for nearly 6 hours before these aliens found me." Nathan turned to the Xelosian medical team. "She has a severe sunburn from star radiation exposure, but amputation is not the treatment. Her skin will heal. She needs hydration, pain management, and some topical treatments." Telox and Nalara seemed unconvinced. The third Xelosian, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. The badge identified him as Xexer, medical director. "Human Nathan," Xexer said formally. "Our medical texts indicate that burned tissue in many species becomes necrotic if not removed. Are you certain this is different?" "Completely certain," Nathan replied firmly. "Human skin burns in stages. This is what we call a second-degree burn, painful and blistering, but still capable of healing. Amputation would be catastrophic." Nalara's 4 hands moved in a gesture of uncertainty, but the patient's temperature is elevated. The affected areas are hot to touch. "These are signs of spreading infection in most species." "It's inflammation, not infection," Nathan explained. "Human skin reacts this way to protect itself. The redness, heat, and pain are normal parts of our healing process." Grace tried to sit up but winced in pain. "They've been good to me, but when they started talking about surgical preparation, I panicked." Nathan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Let me handle this. I'll explain everything." He turned back to the alien medical team. "Do you have any human medical supplies on board?" Telox gestured to a cabinet. "We carry basic cross-species medical supplies as required by interstellar health protocols. There may be some human-compatible treatments." Nathan rummaged through the cabinet and found a tube of aloe vera gel, a standard burn treatment in human medical kits, along with general analgesics that were safe for human use. "This will help," he said, holding up the aloe vera. "It's a natural remedy for human skin burns. Along with proper hydration and rest, she should recover within a week." Nalara approached cautiously, her 4 eyes focused intently on the tube. "This simple substance can prevent necrosis without surgical intervention." "For sunburn, yes," Nathan explained. "Sunburn is fundamentally different from thermal burns or radiation poisoning. It's a surface injury that human skin is designed to recover from." Xexer made a series of rapid clicking sounds that seemed to indicate deep concern. "Your species evolved to withstand star radiation damage and regenerate without intervention. This is unprecedented in our medical experience." Nathan couldn't help but smile. "Not unprecedented, just different. Humans evolved on a planet with relatively thin ozone protection. Our skin developed mechanisms to repair itself after UV exposure. That's why we tan or burn instead of immediately suffering tissue death." As Nathan applied the aloe vera to Grace's burns, the Xelosians watched with what appeared to be fascination. Nalara took detailed notes on a thin, transparent tablet. "The sensation is cooling." Grace sighed with relief as the gel made contact with her skin. "That's the idea," Nathan said. "It'll reduce the inflammation and help with the pain." Telox moved closer, examining the process. "This is remarkable. Our species developed under a binary star system with heavy atmospheric filtering. Direct star radiation is almost always fatal to us without protection. The concept of recovering from such exposure is foreign to our medical knowledge." Nathan continued treating Grace's burns while explaining human dermatological responses to the attentive alien medical team. Our skin has multiple layers. The damaged outer layers will eventually peel away as new skin forms underneath. Peeling. Nalara's translator seemed to struggle with the concept. The damaged tissue separates naturally. Exactly, Nathan confirmed. It's part of our healing process. Over the next few hours, Nathan worked with the Xelosian medical team to develop a treatment plan for Grace. He explained the importance of hydration, the application schedule for the aloe vera, and the appropriate pain management protocols for humans. Grace's condition stabilized quickly once proper treatment began. The Xelosians were amazed at how rapidly human skin responded to the correct therapy. "I must update our medical database," Xelosian declared. "This information could prevent serious errors in human treatment. I find it disturbing that our protocols would have led to such a catastrophic intervention." "Different evolutionary paths lead to different biological solutions," Nathan said diplomatically. "That's why cross-species medical exchange is so important." As the ship's artificial day cycle shifted to night, Nathan prepared to return to his vessel. Grace was resting comfortably, and the Xelosian medical team had adapted quickly to the new treatment protocols. "We are in your debt, human Nathan," Telok said formally. "Without your intervention, we would have committed a terrible medical error." Nathan nodded. "I'm glad I was close enough to receive your distress call. We request that you remain nearby," Xelosian added. "We are scheduled to rendezvous with a human medical station in 3 days, but your presence would be valuable should other complications arise." "I'll stay docked with your ship until then," Nathan agreed. "My survey mission can wait." Over the next 3 days, Nathan divided his time between his own vessel and the Xelosian medical transport. He became something of an impromptu lecturer on human physiology, answering countless questions from the curious alien medical team. Grace's condition improved steadily. The angry redness of her skin faded to a milder pink, and the pain subsided to a manageable level. By the second day, she was able to move around the medical bay without assistance. "I can't believe they were going to amputate my arms and face," Grace said with a shudder as Nathan checked her progress. "They meant well, but their understanding of human biology is so different." "It's a good reminder of how diverse life is across the galaxy," Nathan replied. "What seems obvious to us can be completely foreign to another species." Nalara had become particularly interested in human dermatology and spent hours studying the medical texts available in the ship's database. She approached Nathan with new questions each time he visited. "Human Nathan, I have been researching this melanin substance that your species produces," she said during one such conversation. "It is fascinating that your bodies create their own radiation shielding in response to exposure." "That's a good way to think about it," Nathan agreed. "Though it's more of a warning system than true protection, it doesn't prevent damage entirely. Still, a biological adaptation that responds dynamically to environmental threats. Our species relied on technological solutions instead of biological ones. We developed external protection rather than internal adaptation." Nathan found these exchanges enlightening. The Xelosian's perspective made him see aspects of human physiology he had always taken for granted in a new light. On the third day, as they prepared for the rendezvous with the human medical station, Grace was sitting up and eating normally. The worst of her burns had begun to peel, fascinating the Xelosian medical team who documented the process meticulously. "This is remarkable," Telok said, watching as Grace gently removed a small piece of dead skin from her arm. "The damaged layer separates so cleanly and the new skin beneath appears fully functional." "It's still sensitive," Grace explained, "but much better than before." Xelosian had compiled a comprehensive report on the incident for submission to the Interstellar Medical Council. "We recommend immediate updates to the cross-species emergency treatment protocols," he explained to Nathan. "This misunderstanding could have been fatal." The medical station appeared on their scanners late in the artificial day cycle. It was a large, wheel-shaped structure with multiple docking ports, a hub for medical emergencies in this sector of space. As they prepared for docking, Nalara approached Nathan with what appeared to be a formal gesture of respect, her 4 arms forming a complex pattern. "Human Nathan, we wish to express our gratitude for your intervention. We have learned much from this experience, and it will improve our care for humans in the future." "I'm glad I could help," Nathan replied sincerely, "and I've learned a lot about Xelosian medicine as well." The docking process went smoothly, and a human medical team boarded the vessel to transfer Grace to the station. The lead doctor, Dr. Martinez, reviewed the case with interest. "A classic misunderstanding of cross-species physiology," he noted after examining Grace and reading the Xelosian's detailed notes. "You were fortunate that Mr. Iverson intercepted your distress call." "Very fortunate," Grace agreed, managing a smile despite her still tender skin. "I've grown rather attached to my arms and face." Dr. Martinez turned to the Xelosian medical team. "Your careful documentation of this case will be invaluable for our ongoing cross-species medical training programs. Would you be willing to participate in a formal case study for the Interstellar Medical Journal?" Xelosian's translator conveyed his enthusiasm. "We would be honored. We believe this experience highlights critical gaps in the standardized medical protocols." As Grace was transferred to a hover stretcher for transport to the station's human medical ward, she reached out and grasped Nathan's hand. "Thank you for saving me from well-intentioned amputation," she said with a weak laugh. "If you're ever near Earth's research outposts, look me up." "I owe you a drink." "I'll take you up on that," Nathan promised. "Take care of yourself and maybe use stronger sunscreen next time." After Grace was safely transferred to the medical station, Nathan prepared to return to his survey mission. The Xelosian medical team insisted on providing him with a formal escort to his ship. "We have updated our database with your contributions," Telux told him as they walked through the corridor. "Future human patients will benefit from this knowledge. And I'll make sure to share what I've learned about Xelosian medicine with human medical authorities," Nathan replied. "This kind of exchange saves lives." At the airlock connecting to Nathan's ship, Xelosian presented him with a small, crystalline object, a formal Xelosian token of life debt. "This signifies that we acknowledge your role in preventing harm. It is rarely given to those outside our species, but in this case, it is well-deserved." Nathan accepted the token with appropriate solemnity. "I'm honored, thank you." As he prepared to depart, Nalara approached with one final question. "Human Nathan, I am still curious, why does your species spend time deliberately exposing yourselves to star radiation if it causes this sunburn?" Nathan laughed. "We call it tanning. Many humans think it makes them look more attractive. It's cultural as much as anything else." Nalara's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly in what Nathan had come to recognize as Xelosian confusion. "You risk tissue damage for appearance." "Humans do a lot of strange things for appearance," Nathan admitted. "Not always the most logical species in the galaxy." "Fascinating. I shall add this cultural note to our medical observations." With final farewells exchanged, Nathan returned to his ship and disengaged from the medical transport. As he plotted a course back to his survey area, he reflected on the experience. What had begun as an emergency response had turned into a valuable cultural and medical exchange, and prevented a well-intentioned medical disaster. 6 months later, Nathan's survey mission complete, he found himself docked at Earth's primary research outpost. As he stepped into the bustling common area, a familiar voice called his name. "Nathan Iverson? I hoped I'd run into you here." Grace Hoffman approached, looking fully recovered and healthy. The only sign of her ordeal was the slight tan line visible at the edge of her short-sleeved uniform. "Grace, you're looking much better without the lobster impression," he said with a smile. "All thanks to you and some aloe vera," she replied. "I believe I promised you a drink." As they settled at a table in the outpost's lounge, Grace explained that she had accepted a new position at the research outpost, studying plant adaptations to various radiation environments. "After my experience, I became fascinated with how different organisms respond to radiation exposure," she explained. The Xelosians have actually been corresponding with me. They're incredible researchers once they get interested in a topic. I'm not surprised, Nathan said. They were meticulous in their documentation of your case. Did you know their medical paper on human sunburn treatment has become required reading at the Interstellar Medical Academy? A near-fatal misunderstanding, cross-species dermatological crisis management. Quite the title. Nathan laughed. I can imagine the first paragraph, amputation is not the recommended treatment for human sunburn. Close. They actually begin with the remarkable regenerative properties of human epidermis following ultraviolet radiation exposure present unique challenges in cross-species emergency medicine. Their conversation was interrupted by a notification on the outpost's communication system. Attention all personnel, medical transport Mercy Flight requesting docking permission. Interspecies medical conference delegates arriving. Grace's eyes widened. That's them. The same ship that rescued me. They're here for the annual cross-species medical conference. I'm presenting our joint research tomorrow. Sure enough, within the hour, the common area began filling with various alien species, including the unmistakable tall, blue forms of Xelosians. Nathan recognized Telox, Nalara, and Xexer among the group. Nalara spotted them first, her four arms raising in the Xelosian gesture of greeting. Human Nathan, human Grace, what fortunate timing. The reunion was warm as the Xelosian medical team joined them. Xexer proudly informed them that their case study had led to significant revisions in the interstellar medical protocols regarding human emergency treatment. We have developed a comprehensive guide to distinguishing between conditions requiring surgical intervention and those requiring only supportive care in humans, Telox explained. Your sunburn case was the catalyst. I'm honored to have been your test subject, Grace said with good humor. Though I'm glad I got to keep all my limbs and face in the process. As are we, Nalara assured her. Our error could have been catastrophic. Instead, it became educational. The conversation flowed easily as they discussed the upcoming conference and the progress made in cross-species medical understanding. Nathan was impressed by how much the Xelosians had learned about human physiology in the months since their encounter. We have a proposal, Xexer said eventually. The Interstellar Medical Council is funding a new initiative cross-species emergency response teams. These teams would include medical professionals from multiple species to prevent exactly the kind of misunderstanding we experienced. We would be honored if you would both consider participating. Nathan and Grace exchanged surprised looks. I'm not a medical professional, Nathan pointed out, but you have practical experience and a surveyor's knowledge of remote environments, Telox countered. Such perspective is valuable. And your background in botany would bring important insights about environmental factors in medical emergencies, Nalara said to Grace. The proposal was unexpected but intriguing. A chance to help prevent other potentially disastrous cross-species medical misunderstandings was appealing to both of them. I'd need to complete my current research contract, Grace said thoughtfully, but after that, yes, I'd be interested. Nathan considered his own future plans. His years of solitary survey work had been rewarding, but this offered a new direction, one that could make a real difference. I think I could be persuaded, he said. Especially if it means preventing well-meaning aliens from amputating sunburned tourists. Xexer's translator conveyed what sounded like a laugh. That is precisely the kind of scenario we hope to avoid. As the evening continued, they discussed the details of the initiative and the potential challenges of cross-species medical cooperation. What had begun as a simple misunderstanding about human sunburn had evolved into something much more significant, a recognition that despite their different evolutionary paths, different species could learn from each other and work together to improve medical care across the galaxy. Later, as Nathan walked Grace back to her quarters, she reflected on the strange journey that had brought them to this point. If someone had told me 6 months ago that nearly getting my arms amputated for a sunburn would lead to a career change and an interstellar medical initiative, I'd have thought they were crazy. Sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most important changes, Nathan replied. Though maybe next time wear sunscreen. Definitely, Grace agreed with a laugh. I've learned my lesson about radiation protection, the hard way. As they parted ways for the evening, Nathan felt a sense of satisfaction. His simple intervention explaining that a sunburn didn't require amputation had sparked something important. In the vast expanse of space, with countless species encountering each other every day, understanding their differences could be a matter of life and limb quite literally. The next day, as he sat in the conference hall listening to Grace and the Xelosian medical team present their joint research on cross-species dermatological emergency protocols, Nathan couldn't help but smile at the title slide displayed on the large screen. Radiation responses across species. Why human sunburn doesn't require surgical intervention, a case study in preventing cross-species medical misunderstandings. Sometimes, Nathan thought, the most important discoveries weren't found on distant planets or in uncharted star systems, but in the simple recognition that different species had different ways of healing, and understanding those differences could save lives across the galaxy.